We've seen throughout our study of the Ten Commandments that it's not just our outward words and actions that can break God's commands, but even the thoughts and attitudes that are in our minds and hearts can violate those commands. God makes that clear in the 9th and 10th commandments, where God addresses coveting. We can define coveting this way. Covet, to have a sinful desire for something that God has not given to you. Covet, to have a sinful desire for something that God has not given to you. We touched on coveting briefly with the 7th commandment, where we saw coveting as the heart sin of stealing. Coveting might lead to the outward sin of stealing. Let's review the 9th and 10th commandments with Martin Luther's explanation from the Small Catechism. The 9th commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. What does this mean? We should fear and love God, that we do not scheme to get our neighbor's inheritance or house or obtain it by a show of right, but do all we can to help him keep it. And the 10th commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, workers, animals, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. What does this mean? We should fear and love God, that we do not force or entice away our neighbor's spouse, workers, or animals, but urge them to stay and do their duty. With these commands, God reminds us to be content with what we have and not always longing for more. We shouldn't try to get our neighbor's property or the people and other creatures that are important to that neighbor, but rather encourage them all to stay and fulfill their responsibilities where they are. Coveting is an example of a sin of the heart, which we can define this way. Sins of the heart, secret sins. Sins that we commit in our minds that no one else knows about except God. Sins of the heart, or secret sins. Sins that we commit in our minds that no one else knows about except God. In class, we will walk through each of the previous 8 commandments and see what sorts of sins of the heart exist for each commandment, though we've already touched on most of them in our previous lessons. We'll be reminded that God expects perfection from us, not only in what we say and do, but even what we think, and that Jesus died to take away these sins of the heart as well. Bring your questions about coveting, sins of the heart, or anything else lingering from the previous lessons on the 10 Commandments. We'll take all the questions in class. God bless your week.